All right, in class we have been working with the percent equation. So the equations that we've seen is part equals percent times whole, part divided by whole equals percent, and part divided by percent equals whole. We've seen all three different types of questions, and so I'm going to show some examples and give some hints on how we can solve these. So our first one is, what number is 46% of 200? The key part is 46% and of 200. Okay, 46% of means to multiply 200. A good hint is the word or the number or word that comes after the word of is always our whole. Okay, it's our total. So now to solve this, I need to change my percent into a decimal, and I do that by moving it 2 places. So my decimal 2 places. So I get 0.46 times 200. I do this out. This is going to be 0, 0. 2 times 6 is 12. 0 it out. Cancel it out. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 and 4 times 2 is 8. I add them together. And I get 9200. Since my decimal, I forgot to write my decimal. Since my decimal, I moved it 2 places. 1, 2. I have to move it 2 places back. 1, 2. And 92 is my part. I can check my answer because my part should be smaller than my whole, and it is. We could also think that 50% of 200 would be 100, and 46% should just be a little less than that, and so we can guess that we are correct. On the second example of 26 is what percent of 32? Our keywords are 26 is what percent of 32? Okay, so 26 is means equals. What percent? We don't know that. Of means to multiply. And 32 is our whole because it comes after the word of. Okay, that's using our percent equation, but we're going to rewrite it so that it looks like this up top. We have my part, which is 26, divided by my whole, which is 32. I would take 26 and divide by 32. 32 can't go into 26. Add my decimal, add a 0. 32 can go into 260 or 268 times. 8 times 32 is 256. I subtract and get 4. I add a 0 and bring it down. 32 can go into 40 once. 1 times 32 is 32. I subtract and get 8. Bring it down. 32 can go into 40 twice. 2 times 32 is 64. I subtract and get 16. I add a 0, bring it down. 32 can go into 160 5 times. 5 times 32 is 160. I subtract and I get 0. So I got the decimal 0.8125. I need to change that into a percent, so I move my decimal to the right twice, 1, 2, and I get the answer of 81.25%. on to my last example. I have 12 is 40% of what number? So 12 is 40% of what number? 12 is means equal, 40% of means to multiply, and we don't know the number. And since it comes after of, we don't know our whole. That's using the percent equation. We're going to make it look like our percent equation up above. So we have our 12 divided by our percent, which is 40%, will give us our whole. We need to change my percent into a decimal, so I move it 2 places to the left, 1, 2, and I have 12 divided by 0.40. So I will take 12 and divide it by 40 hundredths. When I am dividing by a decimal, I need to make this a whole number, which means I have to move my decimal inside as well. Fill it in with zeros and pull my decimal up top. 40 can go into 120 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12, and then I add my 0. I subtract and get 0, so I bring my other 0 down. 40 can go into 0, 0 times. 0 times 40 is 0. I subtract and get 0. So my answer is 30. We can check to make sure that's correct because our part is 12, and that should be less than 30 since our percent is smaller than 100. These were just 3 examples that I chose to show each type of when we're missing the part, when we're missing the percent, and when we're missing the whole, of how we can solve each type of equation.